How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Adrock, and this is the first character breakdown for Atlas Reactor featuring Lockwood. Our character breakdowns will be a little more relaxed as we get to know and really enjoy all these characters here in Atlas Reactor. Lockwood is, if anything, probably one of the most recognizable characters you'll see in game, as he shows up in most of the advertising as well as the tutorial zone. Don't sleep on him though, because the rugged exterior may be handsome, but he will take you out. He's super slippery, packs tons of firepower, and if you're not careful, he will dominate you in a game. First thing we'll cover are skins. He only has two as of the current beta, his default Deadeye skin and the Unforgiven skin, which you can purchase for credits. The Deadeye skin has several different skin variants, beginning with this Cobalt at level 1, default, Charred at level 5, Flaming Rose at level 8, Black and Bone at level 10, and two special ones, the Golden Age, which is you can only get from the Trust Pack, which you can buy from atlasreactor.com, as well as the Trooper, which can only be obtained through a Titan's Loot Matrix. Thankfully, on the other side, all of the Unforgiven skins, Badger, Thunderstorm, Raven, and Golden Gun, are all unlocked through various levels of the character. Now it's time to dive into the meat and potatoes of these characters, the abilities and modifications. Lockwood's number 1 is Trickshot. Available only in Blast Phase, it has no cooldown and is a single skill shot line that can bounce off of walls and damage enemies. Every enemy you hit will give you energy. Current modifications available are Extra Tricky, which allows you to get 2 more bounces per shot. On the Move, which will reduce backup plan's cooldown by 1 when Trickshot hits a target. Impaling Shot, which will pierce the first target, and the damage to the second target it hits is reduced, roughly in half. And last but not least, Pinball, which adds an additional bounce. Lockwood's number 2 ability is Litem Up. It's a 3-turn cooldown blast phase move, which fires a barrage of bullets damaging all enemies not within total cover. By default, anything that is barred off, like the cautionary lines you see, is completely unhittable. Now, the modifications for this, by default, is Spray and Pray, which increase the arc to a 90-degree angle. Quick Fingers, which will give you 3 energy per enemy hit, 3 additional energy, and reduce the cooldown to 2 turns. Focus Fire, which deals more damage but reduces the width by half to 45 degrees. And Phosphorus Rounds, which will review any enemy's hit for 2 turns. Lockwood's number 3 is Trapwire. A prep move with a 4-turn cooldown, it'll toss a laser trap on the ground in a cross section that will damage any enemy that moves through it. Any enemy hit by Trapwire will give you energy. Trapwire's default modification is Throwing Arm, which can now throw Trapwire over walls. You also have Trap Wall, which will increase the size of Trapwire. Consolation Prize, which will reset the cooldown if no one trips it. And Insta Trap, which moves it to now a free action, but reduces damage roughly by half. Take note for new players that Trapwire's cross section will only trigger if someone moves into those adjacent tiles. If they just move around it like some players can do, it's completely ineffective. Lockwood's number 4 is Backup Plan. It's a 6-turn cooldown only available for dash phase, and it will dash you to a target location. If you take damage, it reduces the cooldown's ability by 1 at the end of the turn, and you gain 10 energy upon use. Basic modifications is the default mod Slippery, which increases the range by 1. Souvenir, which will leave a trapwire at your starting location, but deals about half damage of the normal tripwire. Tough Customer, which will give you 20 shield until the end of turn. And Kinetic Dash, which will gain you 1 energy per square moved. To top off Lockwood's kit is his ultimate Run and Gun. It's a dash phase attack with no cooldown so long as you have 100 energy. You dash to a target location and any enemy caught within the width will take a huge amount of damage. Basic modifications are the default Armor Piercer, which ignores cover. Gunslinger, which will actually gain you 10 energy per enemy hit. Errant Assault, which will gain 50 energy if you do not hit an enemy. And Burst of Speed, which increases the range by 3. As with all freelancers in Atlas Reactor, every character gets taunts. By default, you get 1 for free at level 6 for Lockwood, but everything else costs credits. So with Atlas Reactor being in beta, and everyone's roughly on the same skill level, this might change as the weeks go on and Atlas Reactor releases, but here are my own personal impressions of Lockwood as a player. I love him. So I used to be really big into healers and tanks and support characters in the games, and I really like the ability to control the battlefield. I don't have to kill you. I just got to make sure someone else can. It kind of changes with Lockwood. I've never been a big fan of I'm going to just DPS and derp, get some kills. But something about bouncing shots off walls and hitting those awesome angles getting out just in the nick of time for gameplay reasons. Just, it's so great. Just look at somebody and go, nope, see ya, and dash out. He's fairly fragile, should not ever be caught unawares. If you do, you're pretty much SOL looking at that 2-turn death counter. So everyone's got a different way of playing certain characters, even pretty straightforward ones like Lockwood. He's classified as easy and he's pretty straightforward for it, with a little bit of intricacy in his kit later on. I like to constantly be on the prowl, just outside of striking range for most melee characters, and making sure I'm constantly repositioning myself to my advantage every other turn so I can get the best shot off with Trickshot. Using Trapwire pretty early and being patient so I can get someone's position is pretty advantageous, but I haven't had much personal luck with the ability as of yet. Maybe I need a little more skill in it? Lockwood's mobility really helps. Any character that has an AoE attack that has to drop fields, has to drop some kind of revealing area, shouldn't be that big of an issue. If you play right, you should never really get caught out too often, and if you are caught out, you always have the ability to get out as fast as you can when you want. So here's the thing, Lockwood cannot survive if he's caught out. Someone sneezes at you, you're dead. I like to personally run critical shot catalysts for the extra damage boost, the fade catalyst, which will let me teleport a really short distance, but then I become invisible, and second wind. That way I can just jump out, heal up a bit, circle back around, and deal some more damage. And that's it for our Atlas Reactor first look at Lockwood. If you have any suggestions for the next video, please let me know. If you have any comments, please let me know. I'd love to hear them, guys. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.